Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Metal video. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the stage versus the Android 17 and 18 that has come to obviously Dokkan Metal Global as a part, I want to say, of the new Blue Zone. So this is the Magnificent Spectacle, I think it's called. Essentially the Blue Zone. So obviously, this is again super class units, very, very important. But these fights, at least so far, have been a little bit different to the fights that we had against the DBS. So like in the DBS one, I think for a lot of players there was longer fights, fights that allowed you to kind of scale really nicely, stack really nicely, and all that sort of stuff. Whereas this, at least so far, feels a lot more harder out the gate, more difficult. And that's not to say that it's impossible or anything, but it's definitely it's different. So like the difference is like when you're building teams, especially, you have kind of two ways to go. The fights are longer and mean that you need to kind of build up units that scale well, have higher scalability, or they're fights that start out really strong, so you use units that start out a lot stronger but maybe don't have the ability to go the distance. This is a little bit of a weird one because it's a bit of a weird, differently designed fight. So we needed to bring units that were scalable, but also just in general a good kind of fit towards a team together. So how this fight works is Android 17 and 18, but it's not just Android 17 and 18, it's a little bit more complex than that. It is indeed our good friends Android 17 and 18, and then the second phase is also featuring a cameo appearance from Goku. So it's not the easiest stage in the world. The first stage starts off against Krillin and 18, 1.6 million super, 600,000 attack or so. They are immune to stunning. They gain attack with every turn that passes, so you want to try and get rid of them as quickly as possible. They're int type and they disable attack and defense. Now one thing I will say, they obviously are vulnerable to stunning, and I think that is a very useful metric. So you can use that utility from stunning to hopefully be able to provide yourself with a good, a good basis of giving yourself some security in this first phase. Once you get out of the Android 18 and Krillin phase, you then face Android 17 and Goku. So Goku is the harder hitter. Goku hits with a 2.2 million super, but he actually only fires it off a little bit more infrequently, but he also has lower health. And then you have Android 17 and 18 who hit a little bit weaker, but they fire their super attack off a bit more frequently, but they also have more health. So both of them are immune to stunning, both of them are immune to sealing, both of them are immune to attack and defense lowering. So that doesn't really help too much. So all I can really say overall, in terms of like functionality, is to obviously consider taking out Goku first. So like what I did, realistically, is I took out Goku first. It was just really a lot better for me to take out Goku first. It just helped me out a ton. The typings are pretty straightforward as well, because Android 17 and 18 are strength. In the second phase, you have to be a little bit careful of bringing physical units. All the physical units you have need to have the ability, to have guard or evasion or something to give them some kind of defensive mechanism against the strength Android 18 and 17, because there are double int types. So you have your int type 17, Krillin 18 in the first turn. Then you have a Goku that is int type in the second turn. So or second phase, I should say, because it's definitely going to be more than one turn. So yeah, I'd probably say, at least for me, definitely pretty difficult from that phase. Like I said though, because we are dealing with a situation where now, we are kind of dealing with a weirder fight because we have multiple enemies, because we obviously have, two phases, but, it's technically three bosses, so quite a, bit of health. I felt like we need to bring a team that could excel in the beginning, but also excel, later on. And I think, the Majin Buu Saga team in general is just one of those teams that does really well. So many units are good from a beginning phase. So you have, for example, Buhan, who's fantastic. Really good. Does his business as well. A really solid unit, and I think as well what I really like is his security that he provides, from healing to incorporation of a whole bunch of really good mechanisms. Just healing, damage dealing, interrupting, sealing, just does a lot, and I think that's all really helpful. I don't think there's a way to underestimate just how helpful those abilities are. So that's very crucial. And then, on top of that, we also have the early security of, the Int Boos and their revives. Really good. We have the Tech Evil Boo transforming unit that progressively scales upwards in the event. So constantly getting better, but incredibly strong defensively in the beginning. We're looking at a unit that has, for example, 70% damage reduction the whole way through. So it's a good unit, and it's an even better event. And I think, for me, there is definitely, I want to say there's definitely a strong team here that handles this length of event perfectly. We have Physical Kid Buu, who takes a little bit to get going. You obviously want him to take some hits to just kind of build up his defense, but you're more than fine there. So now you've got the Tech Buu, great unit. You've got the Physical Buu Hans, great unit. You've got the power of the Physical Kid Buu. But that's not all. You can also incorporate the Tech Good Buu from the World Tournament, who got a great EZA. If you have the Tech Evil Buu, you can run him. But yeah, although to be honest, you don't have to obviously run an Evil Buu team or anything like that. But I do find that for me, it all just ran a lot better. I just had a lot more fun with this team. Everything came together really nicely, and it's the amount of guard and protection we have on the physical units. Outside of Kid Buu, who has a decent chunk of damage reduction as well, I think for the most part a lot of units were just functionally really good. And what we also did really well was we had the ability to soak or take up a fair chunk of damage. So that was really good. Not only just avoid the damage, but heal it up. Because the thing is, right, is you can, to cut a long story short, you can really end up having you can have units that tank things for 0 digits or anything like that, but then you end up having a unit that does catch a bit of flack from somewhere, whether it's chip damage or a super or whatever the story is, but they aren't just a unit that can take single digits. But with the Buu team, what's cool is those units are instantly backed by an incredibly high rate of healing. So whereas a unit might struggle openly with the ability to perform in a certain way, that's kind of eliminated a little bit because we have a very strong amount of healing. So we can heal up huge amounts of health, we're talking 20, 30, 40% of the bar pretty easily. And it helps. Of course it helps. Being able to regen that amount of health is an incredibly powerful basis to build a team on. So anytime, same type orbs, all these healing forms and methods really honestly the Boo team does that healing to perfection, basically. So yeah, I was very, very impressed with the Boo team. I think, look, they handled the event quite well. I was ultimately pretty impressed with their performance. And I think overall for me, like I kind of alluded to, I think when building for this, you have to a certain extent, understand that your goal primarily is to take out the Goku, which leaves you with a very strong strength enemy that you have to a certain point, deal with. And now for Buhan, I don't think it's a huge issue, but you do just need to be careful of whatever physical units you bring into the stage. If you're bringing top-notch physical units, that's great. If you're bringing not so top-notch, that's fine. And try to prioritize whatever AGL you can grab to be able to do good damage. I think, it's difficult. It's always difficult to kind of determine, okay, who's doing big damage, who is really leading the line. And I think, like, for me, in this team it's definitely Buhan, but I think there's lots of undercover good work. I think Tech Boo does great, but I wish we had a huge AGL damage dealer. I just think it would help so much to have such a high volume damage dealer to be able to prioritize units. One thing is, like, if you look at the Superheroes team, they just have some big bombastic damage dealers who I think are amazing. Now, the only thing I will say is just avoid AoE damage. You see I have it, but I don't actually have it for like a specific reason. A lot of the times, how can I say, like, you are doing it like here, I'm just doing it because it's accidentally the good Boo's attack. But I think, like, you don't need to bring AoE to deal with the second phase here. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's obviously, pretty straightforward, but I think it's a really cool event. So I will see you guys in the next one. Let me know what you're thinking of the new blue zones. And as always, I should see you guys in the next video. So until then, take care and bye.